Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the Voice of Reason. So, in this episode, I want to discuss Taiwan and its strategy for confronting China. So, right now, Taiwan has a stipulated claim that, in terms of militarily engaging China, it looks to fight a costly war against China. So if China were to ever to attack Taiwan with the intent of taking over the main island, Taiwan would look to make it very costly. But they seem to have the understanding that without direct U.S. support, that the conquest of their island may be inevitable. And I'm not so sure that is the correct strategy to in fact have. Yes, obviously, any war against two relatively equipped modern powers, especially in terms of China having to launch an amphibious invasion and possibly blockade of Taiwan, possibly one of the largest amphibious operations in the history of warfare. Well, obviously, it would be costly. And I think the Chinese know that. But I think the thought process in Taiwan is to make it so costly that China would not want to partake of the endeavor. But is that the correct outlook to have? I mean, should the should Taiwan go into this conflict with the understanding and even messaging that to its populace that we feel we will probably in the long run lose, but we're going to make it so costly that the Chinese will not, in fact, attack. And again, that is a rather a bizarre strategy to have, because again, the the engagement would be costly no matter what, and Taiwan has to understand that Taiwan or China knows that. So I think the correct outlook that Taiwan should have is attempting to win engagements, not thinking about I would say the absolute long term goal of ultimately winning the conflict, but having the ability to win engagements, to have its warplanes take to the air and beat China in aerial engagements, to have to maybe develop a subsurface attack platform that can go into the Straits of Taiwan, engage, and defeat a possible Chinese invasion fleet. To have the ability to make it obviously painful on China in terms of being able to hit targets inside of China with cruise missiles and ballistic missiles, whether that be foreign purchased systems or indigenous systems. I would say that Taiwan has the ability to create indigenous systems, and they have in fact created indigenous systems. How many of these systems we are not sure of, but we do know, like for instance, in the early 2000s, Taiwan was creating a multi-use cruise missile that was primarily designed to hit ships, but could also attack targets deep inside of mainland China. And in fact, because of that, the United States did not supply on request the F-16 Cs and Ds that Taiwan had requested. I believe that was in the early 2000s, 2006. I believe. I could be wrong. But I do believe that Taiwan has the technology, and given the correct training and doctrine, they could, in fact, inflict defeats upon China. And the question is well, then how many defeats would China accept to continue its operation against Taiwan? And then you would have an actual military victory if you were Taiwan. If you were focused on inspiring your combatant commanders, your military leaders, your pilots, your uh, on down from the basic recruit on up to your battalion commanders, the idea to actually win against China, not to just cause casualties, and not to cause enough casualties and then fall back and retreat, but the idea that you can engage China and you could in fact defeat China in some of these engagements. You may not win all of them, but you could certainly cause enough problems and have enough engagements where you in fact win that you could see yourself victorious. Now, if China presses it in perpetuity, would they eventually overwhelm Taiwan? Well, we don't know, because again, it's something that I mean, just the sheer scope of the operation that would have to take place to seize mainland Taiwan is utterly immense. But first, China would obviously have to take these outlying islands. And I think if Taiwan were to take the mentality that, well, we're not going to lose these islands, we're not going to lose Kinmen, we're going to engage China and we're going to attempt to defeat China as it tries to land on these islands, especially the middle island, such as these. Incredibly important to keep and hold. If China were to be able to take these islands, it would have a much closer foothold to Taiwan proper, the main island. And I don't know what would happen in terms of the civilian population, in terms of it wanting to continue the fight. And I think that could be one of China's tactics, is to if and when it initiates hostilities, would be to first win by piecemeal, take these outlying islands, and then this island, Pinju, and then I think Taiwan would start to doubt itself. And then the question is does the United States come to the aid of Taiwan? And I think that greatly depends on just how powerful, in fact, China is, and does the United States see itself in a position that it can engage China militarily. And I think the United States needs to take a close look at the systems that it is procuring, and I think it needs to fast track systems, as I had mentioned before, the Virginia class sub. That is something that needs to be built probably in larger numbers. I believe that the B-21, the Raider, the new stealth bomber, built quickly and in numbers that could threaten China greatly. And again, the B-21, the whole concept behind that is a system that can take off in bases in Asia or even the United States, travel great distances undetected, and then once it's within anywhere from 700 to 1,000 miles from the mainland China, it could then launch low observable stealth precision-guided cruise missiles to hit targets inside of China. Obviously, the United States has that capability now, but it would be greatly enhanced with the Raider coming into service. And then finally, I think the United States really needs to look at its air-to-air missile capability with the ending of the F-22 fighter. The United States has probably 130 that are combat operational. That is not a great many, but it is the best combat multi-role aircraft on the planet, both in distance and even in dogfighting, close-in combat. And I know the United States would like to get away from close-in combat with its aircraft and rely on beyond visual range systems. I think the F-35 is definitely a key indicator of that. The F-35 is not a great dogfighter per se. It's not the fastest aircraft. It doesn't have the longest range, but it has great stealth features. It has incredible sensor capacity. The concept of sense and shoot. And then finally, I think the United States needs to quickly deploy the AIM 260 Joint Advanced Tactical Missile by Lockheed Martin. That missile will replace the AM-120 AMRAAM, and I think, and then I also firmly believe the F-35 is going to have a excellent off bore sight IR capable missile. In case it does need to get in close to other aircraft, it's going to need that ability to fire those off-bore sight missiles to be able to engage Chinese aircraft. And what that basically is, if a Chinese aircraft were to get in close and then basically go past the F-35, the F-35 could then fire an off-bore sight missile. The missile leaves the rail and quite literally does a 360-degree turn and could in fact attack the Chinese aircraft in some cases. So it alleviates the need for a tight turning aircraft, which the F-35 is not. But again, those three systems really need to come into service very quickly. More Virginia-class boats, the Raider, the B-21 Raider, and then obviously the AM-260 Joint Advanced Tactical Missile is an imperative. I would probably say the AM-260 is probably needed much quicker than some of these other systems.